Hi everyone, this is Eric Bond, the founder of Beat the GMAT, and welcome to today's session. This presentation is called 1 Year with the Indian School of Business, and what we're going to learn today is why you should consider an MBA from India, and to learn why now is the right time about thinking about building experiences and networks in India through an Indian MBA. So if you've ever attended a session with ISB before through Beat the GMAT, you may have heard some of my own personal perspective that I think that this is the century of Asia, where countries like India and China will be rising to become the leading economic, political, social powerhouses for the globe. And for today's session, I'm delighted to be joined by Hima Bindu, who is the Associate Director of Admissions and Financial Aid for the Indian School of Business. And a little bit about Hima's background. So she has over 18 years of professional experience in marketing and communications. She's been a leader at the Indian School of Business for almost a decade now as well, so almost from the very beginning, from the formation of the Indian School of Business. And Hima, of course, has been a key player in building ISB's brand, communication, executive programs, the domestic marketing of the MBA, and of course the selection process for students. And in her current role, she oversees the international marketing of the Admissions and Financial Aid Department. So before I hand it off to Hima, I'll just say a couple words about today's structure. So in a moment, Hima is going to go through a presentation, sort of providing an overview of ISB in India. And then after the presentation, I'm going to join her again so we can do a live Q&A. If you have a question that you'd like to ask about the Indian School of Business for Hima to respond to, you can post your question as on the right-hand side of this GoToWebinar platform. There should be an area called questions, or actually a chat area where you can submit a question, and we're going to be able to review the questions as they come in, and I'll pose them to Hima, and we'll respond to as many as we can for the remaining hour. Hima, I've known her for quite some time now. She's a wealth of information and has many insights about ISB and understands what makes this school special. So I'm very excited, Hima, to have you joining us, and I'll hand it off to you right now.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure being here, and welcome everybody to the session. I hope I can give you insight on not only into ISB, the Indian School of Business, but also India and how it is becoming a key player and a leading economy, and most importantly, as a working professional, why you should look at India before you look at any other country to do your MBA. We have a 1-year full-time residential program at the Indian School of Business. We have 2 campuses located in Hyderabad and Mohali in the north of India. The current picture you're seeing is of the Hyderabad campus, which is on 267 acres. The next picture will show you the vision statement of ISB. As to why the vision when the school started was to be an internationally top-ranked, research-driven, independent management institution that grooms future leaders for India and the world. In 1990, when the liberalization of economy began, and the current Prime Minister was a finance minister then, there was this vision to build a world-class global school, which was going to be top-ranked, but also not just teach theory, but also build research which can take the economy forward. Independent in the sense it is supported by all private funds, by independent donors who work towards building the school. Leaders. At that point of time, India had around 1,000 management graduates, and we knew a billion population needed many more leaders to build a country. Our associations to build a school so fast with the best practices was with Kellogg, Wharton, and London Business School initially, And now we have tied up with MIT Sloan for manufacturing and Fletcher School for public policy. Why India is something we're going to explore now. India has a GDP which was booming, and now it has sort of plateaued, but it is an emerging market with a 1 billion population and a fast-growing economy. It has a vibrant culture, and it has adventure by way of culture, as well as experiences in lifetime experiences that you will benefit from if you come to this country and learn. Emerging market, let me give you some stats on India, in the sense that 800 million mobile phone owners. So if anybody comes out with something in technology, this is a country he should be looking at. Fast-moving consumer good, FMCG, Unilevers and P&Gs of the world should be looking at this country, because there is a vibrant 500 million middle class. It is a mind-boggling number that you're looking at. We add on Australia's population every year to the country. So it is a captive market which is waiting there to be explored. So if the country is booming, what does it have to be? Why? What does it have to do with me? Maybe an obvious question you're thinking of. But whichever organization you're working in, or whichever profession you belong to, it is going to be important to get your double-figure growths and to achieve your targets. So this is the best economy to be in, to grasp those numbers, achieve better. Nokia's largest selling market is Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Some of the big numbers come from this country. So it is a country you have to know and to build your foundation in before you go on any key strategic roles. It's very important. And the best way to do it is do your MBA here, build your network, get it. So why should it be ISB once it is India? It is a transformational year that you go through at ISB. We have 5 key factors we are looking at. One is the distinctive faculty. Next is the network you build of high achievers. Then the curriculum is on par with global business schools. It is a world-class campuses with state-of-the-art facilities and the strong placements that we offer students who join the school. The philosophy of a one-year program is it is a lower opportunity cost than 2-year programs, but having 680 to 720 contact hours, it is on par in content and coverage and contact hours with a 2-year program. A typical 2-year program probably offers you 720 to 740 contact hours, but if you remove the winter, summer breaks, and term breaks in between, you are actually going through a 15-month program. So there's really no compromise on content and coverage when you do this at ISB. We appreciate experience, and that is the reason internships are not required, and our average students at ISB have 5 years of work experience, so the takeaway from learning is very good. The peer learning and the diversity we add to the class is also very, very important for us, because we ensure the class gets diversity by way of architects, marine engineers, fashion designers, doctors, accountants, the whole gamut of diversity. So this adds to very, very interesting peer learning in a diverse group in the classroom. Mind you, all these are not just diverse students, but they're also high achievers who are very, very competitive. The key factor you have to choose ISB is the faculty at ISB. Which other school offers you a deal in which You can listen to a Wharton, a Kellogg, and a London Business School professor under one roof at literally probably half the cost of a top-class World MBA. We have over 100 professors who visit ISB every year, and they come from top-notch schools. They are all PhDs, tenure-track professors from world-class schools across. So they bring in research-oriented consulting, what's happening in the world and in the marketplace view. That it's cutting-edge knowledge they're giving you. At the same time, ISB has built in around 45 resident faculty who are all also PhDs from top universities, and their research makes curriculum very, very contemporary here. At ISB, it's not just learning from the professors that we focus on. The second way you learn from ISB is your peer network, where you learn from the philosophers and the fashion designers, as well as army officers who are your classmates. The third way you learn at ISB is the industry leaders or professionals who come and talk to students and address students in various forums at clubs and other areas. Like recently we had Shiv Kumar of Nokia coming and telling about how Nokia failed the smartphone curve and how they're rejigging their strategy to become competitive in the cell phone markets again. That is a type of industry takeaway you get, not just theoretical knowledge from the professors, but also from industry practitioners. The network. Any school, and especially a management school, network is very, very vital to your learning as well as the bandwidth you build across the world. The students at ISB come with diverse work experience, have varied educational backgrounds, have lived and worked across 30 countries, right from Japanese monks to hockey champions to radio jockeys to sports champions, political activists. We have so many different people at ISB who are going to be your peer group, who are very distinctive and achievement-oriented people, so you can learn from them. At ISB, we also get to see corporate visitors, 770, the student exchange opportunities we offer are with around 49 different schools across the world, especially 14 from the US, and we also have many corporate visitors coming here every year. The classroom curriculum. Any business school will give you the core courses, will give you the electives. We have 16 core courses. We have 16 electives. A student can major in marketing, strategy, finance, entrepreneurship, IT, manufacturing, or healthcare. Any of these 8 majors, he has to do 6 electives in a particular stream to specialize in that. What makes ISB's curriculum distinctive and different is the Leadership Development Program, which is the 33rd course you have to compulsorily do. It is a 360-degree feedback on students, where your peers, your seniors, and your juniors give feedback on you to map your personality. And by the time you come into the classroom, they have your weaknesses and strengths mapped out, so you can work on it throughout the year to become a better leader. The Experiential Learning Program is a program under which real-time consulting is done by students. For example, ExxonMobil has a certain type of fuel it wants to introduce into the market. It will take students from ISB to write a consulting project on them and then take their advice and go ahead with it. It gives students hands-on experience on these new products. It's a great transition tool for students too. Planning an entrepreneurial venture is for budding entrepreneurs who want to take up and set up their own business plan. They can write it, get support from the school to take it ahead. If a student is passionate about any specific project which he has close to his heart, he can take faculty as a guide and go into faculty-initiated research projects. Like I mentioned earlier, we have exchanges with 39 schools. You can go to China, South Africa, Hong Kong. It's up to you where you want to go. The other keen thing about ISB is we emphasize a lot of peer learning, and this comes through the professional clubs on campus. We have clubs like Business and Arts, seminars, conferences, business plan competitions, Shadow a CEO, many interesting projects like this which a student can take up. And he can participate in these and expose himself, get a macro view, and expand his thing. This is a picture of campuses. The top is the Hyderabad campus, and the bottom is the Mohali campus, which is done and going ahead. The key thing about ISB is the career services. It is not a typical career service where you have, oh, come on to class, you learn, and you apply for jobs. But we handhold students throughout the process. We have a learning and development department who facilitate knowledge sessions by alums as well as industry experts to give you an insight into what actually goes into that particular profession. These L&D professionals assess your aspirations and try and map your competencies and skills through various tools and tell you where you're falling short, what you can work on before the year is over to become better, to give you a better chance at your job. They have a lot of skill enhancement workshops like learning workshops, horizon speaker workshops, Gurukul, resume reviews, mock interviews, all these. We take placements very seriously, and we have 10 senior professionals across India and the world whose primary focus is on getting recruiters onto campus and let's say trying to find a student the recruiter, dream recruiter he wants and the dream job he wants. And many times there's a lot of personal inputs that go into. If you have a profile which is uncommon, they will approach a recruiter you may want, even if he is not on the set list of recruiters who visit the campus. These are some ideas on stats of how around 70% of students make an industry or a function shift. Class of 2012 international placements, around 92 offers were made, 73 companies had come onto campus, and this was what it looked like. We had 340 recruiters coming onto campus. For 570 students, the number of offers was made or was over 640. This is an insight. This is a list of companies who are on campus. You will find the top in pretty much all sectors come onto campus. It's not possible to list all 340 here. You may go onto the placement links on at ISB, and you'll get a idea of who all come on and what they do. So McKinsey, BCG, you will see it here. For all those of you who want to become an entrepreneur or go back to your family business, ISB is one of the best places to come to. We have a Wadhwani Center for Entrepreneurship Development, which supports graduates by financing, mentoring, and giving any other resources they want. We have a co-course in entrepreneurship. You can major in entrepreneurship at ISB. Planning an Entrepreneurial Venture, or PAEV, is the most popular course on campus. 80% of students do it, whether they start the business right after ISB or later. And we even have an elective on family business. We have many interesting concepts and make as much as you can, like pilot entrepreneurial things which are run on campus. Thai ISB is an annual conclave which happens, and it gives students an opportunity to meet with venture capitalists, and they come in with around 50 million in funds. If you can actually send your business idea to them, you can walk away with the funding for your company. Let me come to the final section, which is the admission process. Like any global school, we ask for that you be a graduate, have 2 years of work experience, preferably, and have a GMAT score. The online application comprises takes some details of your academics, your employment details, your GMAT score, 3 essays plus a video essay, and 2 recommendations. The essays focus on uniqueness, your career and aspirations, and any additional information you want to give about yourself. The important thing here is there's a new addition this year, which is the video essay, where we are trying to gauge students' articulation skills and his concept presentation skills. It's another window on which we're having a look at a student. The analytical ability is seen through the GMAT and the academic records, the professional experience based on your career progression, the initiatives you've taken at work, the leadership potential, the achievements you have, what type of a team player you are. All these are gauged from your essays as well as your recommendations. We have quite a few financing options. Scholarships which are need and merit based, as well as corporate scholarships. Then we have bank loans which are collateral free with flexible payback options. We have quite a few scholarships for international students. The ISB Isaac scholarship, this is for members of Isaac. We have a India Global Scholarship for non-Indian passport holders located across various countries. We have a Bridge to India scholarship for Indian origin non-Indian passport holders who would like to come back to the country by using the MBA as a route to this. We have a ISB geographic scholarship which is specific to each geography, and there is one for Africans, there's one for Chinese, there's one for Australians, depending on the geography they come from. Details of these can be found on the ISB website. We have LOCAX and Casa Asia scholarship for Spanish students, Becas Talancia scholarship for Andalusian origin Spanish students. We have a IBF scholarship for Singaporeans. Minor details on the criteria and other things can be had at the ISB website. But all these are scholarships available for international passport holders. In addition, of course, the Indians, there is a huge purse that is available, which is given by way of need and merit to Indian students. The deadlines for this year for domestic are September 15th and November 30th for the second cycle. For international students, the deadline is January 15th. And by international, we mean non-Indian passport holders. If you need any further information, please revert to internationaladmissions@isb.edu, and we would be happy to address any other issues you have. Thank you so much for this, and thanks for your patience. And you're available anytime, and I hope we can go ahead with the questions so I can answer any queries you have.
Thank you so much. This is Eric again, and for those of you who might have joined us a little bit late, we've been listening to Hima Bindu, who is the Associate Director of Admissions and Financial Aid, go through her presentation, which is called 1 Year with the Indian School of Business. And at this point, we are ready to take your questions live. We have Hima available for probably about 30 minutes or so for this Q&A period. And if you have a question, just to remind you how to submit that to us. On the right-hand side of this GoToWebinar panel, we have an area where there's a chat area. You can submit your question there, and we will be able to see the questions coming in, and I will actually be delivering them verbally to Hima to answer one by one. The first question, Hima, that I'd like to start with is this theme that I've seen from, which is for Americans or other international passport holders, what's your opinion about doing an exchange with the Indian School of Business versus full-time enrollment at the Indian School of Business?
I think a full-time program is much better in building your network in this country and building your relationships rather than just spending 6 weeks at India, which actually never gives a flavor of the country. Eric, I actually tell them that you actually need a lifetime to really experience India because it's so humongous and it's so diverse culturally and otherwise. My first option would always be spend a whole year and explore various things across the country during your breaks. But if this is impossible, probably, let's say an exchange program is like taking a capsule.
Mm-hmm.
The other way you can do it is actually you come to ISB, do a one-year program, and go on exchange to a Chinese school, and I tell them you've covered half the world.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So there was something in your presentation that I think that a few folks in our audience members didn't quite catch, which is the Gurukul speaker series.
Yeah.
And actually, Hima, when I visited you, I remember hearing a lot about this Gurukul series, and it's very unique. Can you expand upon what this is?
Gurukul series is where industry practitioners are invited to speak on their particular profession and give insights into how it works. Like the Business and Technology Club will probably invite, professionals from Microsoft or Google to give how technology and business work together. And maybe I'm trying to think of examples of speakers. Recently, there was somebody from Goldman Sachs who gave an insight onto how the finance industry works. Nokia, Shiv Kumar I mentioned earlier. All these are varied series of speakers from different professions. Crompton Greaves, CEO, was there. The British Airways CEO was there to tell how British Airways went down, and they give you unique insights into their various industries.
Gotcha. So it's real world, bring in some of those real world leaders as like living case studies.
Jagmohan Raju will probably tell you this marketing strategy works in the marketplace, but it is these people who will tell you, why it didn't work in the marketplace, how they had to adapt or change to be successful.
Mm-hmm. So, Hima, just moving on to another question here. We see a few people asking a very tactical admissions related question, which is round one versus round two. Is there advantage in applying to round one or round two?
There's the admission process is completely based on merit, and it is a holistic evaluation process. There is no advantage you get any cycle you apply. We do not give a quota of seats in the first or second cycles. It's purely on basis that we merit that we select students in the first round. The rest are kept in a wait list compared with the second round admits and wait lists again, and the best are given the admission offer. It really doesn't matter which cycle you apply in as long as you're a meritorious applicant.
Right. Another application-related question that we see coming in has to do with the video essay prompt. Now, Hima, can you remind me personally, this is a new component of the admissions application for this year?
It is. We introduced it just this year.
Okay.
It's a very simple 90-second video essay you have to upload with your application, and we need to see you personally, and you have to speak on it pretty much throughout the thing, or you may use other images, but we predominantly would like to see you on the video. We're trying to gauge your articulation and communication skills.
Right. Okay. That's you've actually anticipated my next question, which was in general, folks have been asking to hear more about, what was the thinking behind including that. I think you've addressed that, as well as how much weight does that video essay carry against the entire scheme of the application process?
Very interesting question. Eric, because it is a holistic evaluation process, there is no scientific weightage given to each aspect of the application. For example, let's say, somebody who's come from a rural background and has been working in rural areas, probably his accent and articulation skills may not be good, but his passion and communication may be good. So he will still be shortlisted for an interview. This is just another window through which we are gauging a student, but it's not an elimination factor, but it's another factor on which we can select a student because he has expressed a concept very well, or he has given a deep insight onto what life to him is, or he thinks differently about his life. This is another window we are trying to give a student to project himself to a school rather than another piece on which we can reject the student.
Gotcha. I see our team is actually viewing a lot of questions related to international placements. Just generally the question is, can we talk more about international placements of ISB graduates? Where do alumni end up working geographically? What about other industries and functions?
Yes. Very good. This is, I'm sure, top of the mind for given the economic scenario and the times we are going through. It is a major concern for everybody. So let us address it. We get over 80 companies who come onto campus to recruit at ISB. And when they do, they recruit for various locations across the world, predominantly Southeast Asia, India, Middle East, and let me tell you, when you look at placements, around 65% of them seem to happen in India. But when you look at alumni over the next few years, you will see that more than 40% are located outside the country. Why is this? Because Novartis may recruit you for India, but after a year of internship or two, you have been moved to Switzerland or some other country where they have a key strategic role. You will find that the top IT majors also are sending out our professionals to go to Canada or to Australia to head their operations. So you can never say, this is where your placements is going to be. As you grow in your profession, the migration to other countries happens, and we've seen that happen with our alumni. That being said, you will see a lot of pharmaceutical as well as doctors end up in GlaxoSmithKline, Pfizer, Novartis, all these companies in Switzerland and in and around countries like that. LVMH, which recruits for the leadership development program, they give you a one-year internship in Milan. Are you going to be in Milan throughout your career? No. They're probably going to transition you across various geographies. Singapore, Hong Kong, these are some other countries also that a lot of students go. But predominantly placements are in India, but you will find that you are moving across in a couple of years. The key thing to remember for international applicants is if you are an international passport holder, it is a dream come true for you because all these recruiters want to recruit ISB students for key strategic roles, but most times a visa becomes a problem. That is the reason you are stationed in India for a year or so and then they transition you across. But if you have a passport, you can, choose the country you want to go to work.
And I think you're about to touch on this next question that I see, which is, let's say that you're an American or European who wants to work in India. Is the visa process pretty easy? Is it difficult? What's the experience like for those folks who want to be placed specifically within India?
Because these are key roles that you're looking at, the company takes care of it. I can't say that it's going to be very smooth, nor can I say that there are huge barriers on it. I'm sure these companies will have, offices abroad. It's a matter of technicalities where they post you there and they give it. These are technicalities on tax and visa other regulations, but it is absolutely possible, and quite a few students. I have two Spanish students, one working for Novartis in India and the other working for Nomura Bank in India. Deutsche actually gave an Indian with a British passport, and she's in Bombay. There are many different positions like that.
So going back to admissions related questions, I see a GMAT question. I feel like for the Beat the GMAT community, we always have to have at least one GMAT question. And this one is, what is your perspective on the new integrated reasoning of the GMAT, and how is your admissions team going to approach integrated reasoning in reviewing, I guess, GMAT scores generally?
Interesting to know, Arek, that it was IR was actually tested on ISB campus with our students to see how how it works out. We think it is interesting. It's another tool on which we can assess a student. But for this year, we are very, very clear that we're just going to park the scores because we're going to get other GMAT scores without integrated reasoning score.
That's right.
So it may not be a level playing field to look at. So we are not taking it into cognizance for this year. Probably next year it will come in.
That's right. And, just a note to the audience members as well, I can add some perspective to this question. Hima and her team's perspective at ISBs is pretty consistent from what we've heard with most business schools. Certainly follow up with each individual business school you plan to apply to see what their approach for integrated reasoning would be. But in general, we found that for the exact same reasons that there's going to be a mix of people applying with non-IR GMAT scores with folks who have IR GMAT scores. It doesn't really create that level playing field, or I guess the same kind of apples-to-apples comparison. So many schools are parking that score, as Hima had said. Okay. So scholarships. Let's sort of jump back into receiving admissions and then figuring out your financial aid. I see a question here about, what is a typical profile of a student who gets a merit scholarship? And are there any scholarships available for Indian students? I think you mentioned this.
Oh, yes. A majority of scholarships are available for Indian students. An Indian student doesn't even have to apply for a scholarship. As soon as he applies to ISB, based on his ranking in the admission process, he automatically qualifies for a merit scholarship. And if his income levels need scholarships, he has to apply for, where his income and family income are factored in to check whether they fall below certain parameters, and then he's considered for a need scholarship too.
And what about, I'm sorry, continue please.
There are quite a few funds available for Indian students. The ones I showed in the presentation today were specifically created for international students. And let me mention the fee here, which is around 46,000 USD, including accommodation and a basic meal plan. It's a fantastic ROI. Indian students have 8 to 10 empaneled banks who will give it to you, who will give loans to you at less than 1% the market rate. If they have 10% in the market, an ISB student gets 9%, which is a special rate we've worked out for our students.
Gotcha. And, the foreign nationals as well are asking about the scholarships too. Is there a typical profile of a non-Indian student who would get a merit scholarship?
See, the thing is the leadership potential should be high in them. The diversity they bring to the class is going to be important. Just log on to the scholarship part of it and the applications. You will see these specific essays being given there. For an ISACO, we actually appreciate their multicultural exposure, the entrepreneurial spirit they bring, the diversity and team playing they bring. That's the reason we look at them. For geographic, probably there's an African who's coming in who's bringing insights on African, how the country works, the culture and nature there. So that's important to us. That way, the diversity you bring to the class, the flavor you add to the class is going to be important. At the same time, they should be pretty sound on other factors like GMAT and academic scores, and should have a certain basis on which they made it to the class.
Mm-hmm. And I guess one more question about merit scholarships as well. How many merit scholarships are awarded each year?
For the Indians or the international?
If you could segment both, that'd be great.
Indian, 1 in 10 students gets a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And Eric, the range goes from 5 lakh Indian rupees to 10 lakh Indian rupees depending on the merit of the student. Mm-hmm. As far as international is concerned, we give away something like 10 to 15 scholarships, that's all, every year. Mm-hmm. And they usually range from 3 lakhs to, I know Isaac scholar Sasha last year got 15 lakhs. Literally, 80% of her fee was paid, but she was a phenomenal candidate who had a very strong academic score, very good quality of work. Her GMAT was 740. On all parameters, she was top. So the admissions committee is willing to, go as far as possible if you are good enough to merit that scholarship.
Wonderful. Well, just a reminder to folks who are in our audience today, we're speaking with Hima Bindu, who is the Associate Director of Admissions and Financial Aid for the Indian School of Business. We're currently about halfway into our Q&A session, so if you have any questions that you'd like to have Hima address live during this webinar, we encourage you to post right on the right-hand side of this GoToWebinar platform, where you can enter your question as a new, I think, chat item or a new question item. You can do it either way, and our team will be able to review the question and have me deliver it to Hima live right now. So moving on to another question about application, about experience, actually, years of experience. So one thing that you had mentioned that also caught my eye was that the Indian School of Business does value experience in its applicants. So what about candidates who apply with less experience, just 2 to 3 years of work experience? Is that advisable?
Of course. Eric, 15% of our students have less than 3 years of work experience, and around 15% have more than 8 years of work experience. So it's not a negligible percentage. Mm-hmm. So it's the quality of work experience that you have that matters. You may have worked for just 3 years or so, but you probably have some very good achievements to your name. So please go ahead and apply. You probably reach the glass ceiling at that young age and you feel the need for learning to learn more, to achieve more. That's fine by us. Just go ahead.
That's right. In fact, just for our audience members. Oh, go ahead, please.
Sorry, there are cases of students who have applied with less than 2 years and who are very high performers, and the admissions committee had given them a deferred admission because they felt they were ready, and it was just another 6 months that they needed to complete it.
That's right. And I was just going to mention a funny little personal anecdote too, which is we have one Beat the GMAT alumni, someone who was on our full-time staff who applied with about 2 to 3 years of work experience and attended ISB. So we're very proud that we've had employees at Beat the GMAT as well who have made it to ISB with less work experience. But then again, she was a real rock star, so no surprise there.
Yeah.
And what about re-applicants? So very interesting. Any advice that you provide to people who are applying to ISB again, and how do you prove that you're ready the second time around?
Sure. I think the best way I can illustrate this is last year's GSB president was a re-applicant who made it. Eric, very clearly there's a time you're ready to do the MBA. And during the interview and selection process, when we see somebody is ready, we take him on. and if we feel the other person should be given more time to mature to that level, we leave him alone and we give the seat to the person who needs it right now. And it's not that many people who do not make it to ISB are bad. That's the reason they didn't make it, are not meritorious, so they can't make it to ISB. But it's just that everybody's good in their own way, but they're just not ready. In fact, 20%, I think 20% of our students are applicants, are reapplicants, and over 10% of them make it to the class next time round. And the people who've applied 3 times also and made it to the class. We are not prejudiced towards reapplicants. We are open to considering their case, reading the applications to see how they've progressed, what's the difference they've made, and how they have improved the profile. And we'll absolutely welcome them onto campus.
Wonderful. A question about interviewing. So some of the international applicants are interested in understanding what the interviewing options are for them.
If you're outside India, it is usually a Skype or a telephonic interview that we do. But if you're planning a holiday in India and you're going to be there during that time period, you can always call up admissions and ask for a personal one-on-one interview. If you think it adds value to your application and you will get a better score, please do so. We will be open to doing that, facilitating that for you.
Great. And this next question that I see coming in is something that I'm personally interested in too. Is can you shed a little bit of light about the newly opened Mohali campus? So how is the Mohali campus going to add to, I think, the existing experience with the Hyderabad ISB campus?
Yeah. Mohali campus is a campus we're very proud of. We started it this year. We've had some initial hitch-ups on project delays, but it's raring and going on now. It was predominantly started with 4 centers of excellence in manufacturing, public policy, infrastructure, and healthcare, which we think these 4 sectors are going to be key players in the next decade in the economy of India as well as the world. We have accommodation and facilities for currently for 210 students. The student villages are up and running, and students have already occupied and are attending classes. The quality of faculty for both campuses is the same. Probably a staff faculty teaches the first term at Hyderabad and the second term at Mohali, and another faculty teaches it at first term in Mohali and the second term at Hyderabad. The admissions as well as placements for both campuses are common, so much so that a recruiter who receives a student handbook of the profiles of students will not have an idea as to which student belongs to which campus. The diversity and merit of students is spread across both campuses, so that same quality of students, classroom experience, and diversity is maintained in all classes. That is the way it is one school, 2 campuses. That's the spirit on which it has been built. And yes, the first batch sort of graduates this next April. We'll see how it goes.
Congratulations. And is there a different admissions process then to get to one campus or another?
No, it's the same for both. It's the same. It's just a drop-down box, Eric, which says, preference of campus, Hyderabad, Mohali, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. And let's say in the top 10, we take around, top 7, we take 3 students to Mohali and 4 to 5 students in Hyderabad. So if your preference has been Mohali, we give it to you. If there is, we don't want all the architects to get into one campus, all the doctors into one campus. To that extent, we calibrate the process on which the campuses are allotted pretty much, but most students get what they want.
I see. And can you shed a little bit of light as well about the differences between the cities. What is Mohali known for? What is Hyderabad known for? I think it would be very helpful for some of the international applicants to get a sense of, some of the key differences of those two cities.
Hyderabad is centrally located in India. It is less than 2 hours flight from all the major cities. It is a IT hub. With Microsoft being our neighbor, we have Google, Facebook, the top technology companies are here. It's in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Mohali at the same time is adjacent to a key northern city called Chandigarh. It is a very architecturally built city by a French architect. It is just less than an hour away by flight from the capital of the country. It is located in the northern part of India. And if anybody is keen on trekking and going, you're closest to Himalayas, you're positioned there. It's a beautiful campus. They have a cricket stadium, test matches are played there. Mohali is located again in the special economic zone of Chandigarh city, close to that. So where a lot of technology companies, Deloitte, consulting companies are located. So atmosphere and everything wise, they're equally good. Very metropolitan, with top-notch facilities, the airport, everything accessible.
Wonderful. I think we have time for one or maybe two more questions, Hima. And I think, it's funny because whenever we mention age issues in admissions, there's always a flurry of questions that come back in. So we spoke about students or applicants being maybe on the younger side, but what about applicants who are on the older side? Is there an applicant that's too old to apply to ISB or has too much experience?
No. We have students on our records from 2 years to 22 years of work experience. A lot of Army professionals with 13 years of short service commission join ISB. We've had a lady gynecologist who after 22 years of work experience came back to school to study and set up her clinical model in the rural areas of India. So we are open to anybody, whatever the age, Your hunger to study is what is important to us. If you think you can cope with the curriculum, please welcome.
Wonderful. And let's see, a good question came in about the application life cycle. So right from when an applicant clicks the submit button to the point an admissions is offered to that person, who reads the application, how many times is it read, how long is each read? So can you shed a little bit of insight in terms of the internal workings of what happens as you review?
ISB takes on professionals as required to review these applications, and we have a huge student team as well as a learning and development team who go into these applications. Each application is read by 2 evaluators, and what would be important to know is these evaluators actually do not have access to your GMAT or your academic scores. Based on your essays and recommendations, they come to a consensus as to whether you should be shortlisted for an interview or not. If it is 2 positives, you are given a call. If it is a negative and a positive, it is again reviewed by a 3rd senior person. If it is 2 negatives, it's unlikely that you'll be given a call. That's pretty much how it is done. And we have a whole range of students as well as alumni who take part in this process. For example, maybe these people are looking at a surgeon's application, and they really may not be able to judge what progression or how to judge the progression of a doctor or a surgeon. So a doctor or a surgeon alumni or a student is consulted for taking a final call. That's how detailed it's done.
Great. And so Hima, with that, I think we're going to have to wrap up, but I'll let you have a final sort of comment. Are there any sort of thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to provide to our audience today before we wrap up?
Thank you for this opportunity. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you, though it has been one-sided. Um, an MBA is very important in your career to make that progression and transition into higher key strategic roles. More important is to factor in India into your career now, because this is where all the future growth is going to come from. So please keep that in mind. At the same time, ISB offers you real ROI by way of faculty, facilities, or any other factor you can consider. Do keep that in mind. And the best tip I can give you is it's very important to be honest in your application. And an MBA, good MBA application takes time. So log in today and get started. It's a user-friendly application. You can submit it anytime you want, but log in today and get to work on it so that you can give in your best application ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Hima. We've been listening to Hima Bindu, who is the Associate Director of Admissions and Financial Aid for the Indian School of Business. Hima just walked through a great presentation called 1 Year with the Indian School of Business, where she made the case of why you should consider an MBA from India right now. And also, we've just spent about 30 minutes going through your questions live. So again, Hima, thank you so much for spending your evening and I guess my morning in this presentation. And also to our audience members, thank you so much for making time to come out and learn about the Indian School of Business as well as India. And hopefully you guys will have some opportunities to follow up directly with the ISB team directly. I think there is some contact information that Hima shared in this presentation. And you can also check out the Indian School of Business MBA Watch page, which also includes some contact information there. So thank you again, Hima, as well as to our audience, and we hope to see you guys in a future session. All the best.
Thanks, Eric, and bye, guys.